So this video is going to be a lot shorter than the last one. The last one was cut off because I'm running out of storage. The question on your test is similar to this. So I wrote, if 8 is equal to 6, or an angle 6 is congruent to angle 4, what do you know about lines A, B, and C? So 8 and 6, these are linear pairs. So I wrote 8 and 6 are a linear pair and supplementary. 6 and 4, that's same side interior. So I wrote angle 6 and angle 4 are same side interior and supplementary, which means that they add up to 180. So in order for 8 and 6 to be congruent, and 6 and 4 to be congruent, and we learned today with transitive property, that means that 8 and 4 would also be congruent. In order for all those to be congruent, the angles must be 90 degrees. And if you have 90-degree angles here, and you have a 90-degree angle here, that means you've created perpendicular lines. So A is perpendicular to B, A is perpendicular to C, and that means because both of these are equal to each other and corresponding, B would be parallel to C, and that's what all these symbols means. So because all the angles are 90 degrees, A and B are perpendicular, A and C are perpendicular, and B is parallel to C. That's what most of you missed on the test. You forgot to write that whole sentence. All right, and the last question on your test said something like this. I wrote, if the measure of angle 7 is 108, and B is parallel to C. That's the main thing you should have been looking for. Number 1 did not have anything about parallel. So, and B is parallel to C. What's the measure of angle 1? Explain how you know. Well, because they're parallel, 1 and 7 are going to be same side exterior angles. Okay, so you have to say that. Angle 1 and angle 7 are same side exterior. Oops, sorry. So that means the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 7 would be equal to 180 degrees. So it's hard to write and hold this at the same time. So 180 minus 108. Hold on a second. Equals 72. So, Lord, measure of angle 1 equals 72 degrees. Okay, if you can read my chicken scratch, I wrote the measure of angle 1 and angle 7 are same side exterior, which means measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 7 equals 180. So 180 minus, that's a 108. I know that looks like a 100, but that's 108 equals 72. So the measure of angle 1 equals 72. The main reason why you were allowed to do this is because they had told you the lines were parallel. In this question, they never told you lines were parallel, so you couldn't determine anything. All right, so I'm going to hold this up a little bit so that you can read through it. And hopefully reading through this will help you understand how you were supposed to answer your questions on your test. All right, the last question we're going to look at is a question similar to number 1. This is when it's good to have highlighters, one of each color, because having highlighters of one of each color helps you to see where the different lines are going to intersect. Because if they intersect to make 90 degrees, then you have perpendicular lines. Give me a second to make my highlighters because I can't hold and highlight at the same time. All right, so the lines in question were J and H. So I highlighted on my example J and H. Okay, so what I'm looking for is angles that are by themselves. If they're by themselves and they're equal to 90, then we would say yes. if they're not by themselves. And what I mean by themselves is in the intersection, you have 4 corners. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. So in your 4 corners, like here, the numbers are not by themselves. So in order for 90 degrees to happen, I would have to add these 2 together or add these 2 together. And then these, the numbers are by themselves. So if they're 90, it's okay, and I could have perpendicular. So question number 1 says, if the measure of angle 7 was 90, so if this was 90, would I have perpendicular lines? And the answer is yes. This whole corner would be a box, and that's enough information to have a perpendicular line, because that's what that symbol means, perpendicular. What if the measure of 8 was 90 degrees? Well, that's kind of impossible, because this whole side has to be 90 or less. So if this piece was 90, it's like not enough information to know what this part is. And that way, if that's 90, that means this would make the whole angle more than 90. So this can't make it perpendicular. So that's a no. And if you want a reason, it's because if that's 90, the whole angle would be over 90, and it would be too big. If 7 was equal to 10, that's not enough information, because this could be 100 and this could be 100. This could be 200, this could be 200. Not enough information to know that if it's 90 or not, so that's a no. If the measure of 8 plus 9 was 90, so these two together, if they're 90, create a nice box. And we intersect and we create a nice box. So that's enough information for perpendicular. If 10 plus 11 was 90, well, 10 plus 11 being 90 does not give us enough information to know that these 2 lines would be perpendicular. Maybe if it was K and H, we could say yes. But because we're looking at J and K, this is too not enough information to know for these 2 lines if it's perpendicular. So that's a no. If 8 plus 9 plus 10 was equal to 180, would these be perpendicular? I have no idea if I add these 3 up which one is 90. And I need to have one of them be 90 so that I can have a box in one of my 4 corners. And because I have no idea where the box would go by adding these 3 together, it's not enough information. That's a no. If 8 plus 12 plus 9 plus 11 was 180, well, that would mean that both of these corners added together would be 180. Since this corner and this corner are both equal to each other because they're vertical, the only way they could be equal to each other would be if they were both 90 degrees. So that would make this corner 90 and this corner 90. That's enough information. So when you're looking at these questions, you're looking for vertical, you're looking to see where a box could be formed. If all 4 of these numbers together added up to 180, that means since this is vertical, they would be equal to each other. So that means that there would be a box on both of these corners. So that's enough information for 180. For perpendicular. And then the last question, which is the last question of this video. If the measure of angle 10 was equal to the measure of 11 plus 12, would that be enough for perpendicular? Well, all of these equal 180 because it's supplementary angles. If this side is equal to this side, the only way that these 2 sides could be equal is if we split 180 in half, and that would be 90 and 90. Well, our goal is to have a 90-degree angle, and this would be a 90-degree angle, so as long as we have a 90-degree angle in one of our corners, it works out to be a yes. All right, now these questions are not written in the same order as your test, but hopefully you can look at the test and see how they match up to the questions on your test. All right, good luck, everybody. And I hope those who take in the retake do really pay attention to this paper and this video. And look at your test too. All right, good luck.